This is the J.R. Hill Expose, proudly brought to you by Mandarin Energy Films.
This is the J.R. Hill Expose. I'm very honoured to have my first film school teacher, Colm O'Murchu. Great to
How you going, Jeremy?
Great to be here with you, buddy. Just wanted to say I have a huge respect for this man, and I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for him. And it is an absolute honour. And let's get this started.
Great to be
Colm?
here, Jeremy. Really good to be here.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, go for it.
All right. Now, one question. There was I loved that course we did, that weekend producers course that was at the University of New South Wales. I flew down here in 2011.
Right. Yes.
And I loved it. You were playing Entourage when we walked in. The pilot for Entourage.
Yeah.
And literally I just started watching Entourage and just loved it. So I was like, yeah. And then you taught us a lot, but one thing I really like, every time I go to JB Hi-Fi, I ask them how DVD sales are going because of it. When you were saying that the DVD technology was a dying technology.
Was I saying that back then?
Yeah, what do you think now?
Well, it's certainly a small part of the market. It's not completely dead.
Yeah.
As you say, it's in JB Hi-Fi.
Yeah.
And they still sell DVDs, like they still sell CDs and vinyl. But the vast majority of people now are consuming their films and movies online on platforms, as we all know. Like,
So the percentages are actually going down worldwide.
Oh, they have. They've gone into sharp decline. And that's one of the problems with the market, because in the old days, you could have a small theatrical release, and often you didn't care if you lost money on it.
Because you'd make heaps of ancillary
Because a DVD and a rental in a DVD shop back then, I think the companies were getting like $150 per DVD, and then on top of that, of course, the shop would
like
rent
the
it out so many times they'd
Blockbusters
make
and
money.
yeah.
The blockbusters, and then you had the sell-through where you were buying DVDs. I seem to remember they were around $20 and sometimes $25-$30.
Now they're down, like they're
now
there when
so
they get
cheap.
released.
Yeah.
Like first up, you might pay $20 or $30, but then eventually they go down to like $7 to $12.
That's right.
I've got a library of them. I still buy.
You still,
but
yeah. Look, it is
I like the
nicer,
ownership.
isn't it?
I like the ownership of it.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
that's why every time I went in there and I'd buy like thousands of the bastards,
Yeah.
I always ask them, how's DVD sales going? And I go to a few different JB Hi-Fis, but they always said that like DVD sales are through the roof, and that's why I was always interested. Like, but they're
that's
actually
in one
now they're
area.
declining.
In one area. Yeah.
A few different areas, but it was still like a small indicator, that one little area. But it was just an interest to me.
Oh yeah, I think it's great that it's still there. I hope it stays, and I hope it makes a comeback. But
no, well, they've started to decline everywhere I've asked now.
Yeah.
Like they've just started declining now, but that was 8-9 years ago, and I was thinking, but then for a few years there, maybe it was a lag effect. So you still think it's going to die though?
Well, I think in the last 5 years, Netflix, when they first produced their first original content, it was House of Cards with Kevin Spacey and Robin, what's her name? I've forgotten, but that was such a successful show, and everyone watched it, and everyone thought like they might do one of these a month or one of these every 2 months, and everyone really enjoy it. But then what happened was they just flooded the market with content. Now there seems to be something new every week, and it's like
people are spoiled for content.
Yeah, people are spoiled for content, and a lot of it can be mediocre, as you can see. I mean, it looks great, it sounds great. They put heaps of money into it. They even get stars into it now.
Yeah.
But what they've done is they've YouTubed film, and good quality film. They've YouTubed it. And what I mean by YouTube is, if you go on YouTube, you've got a million squillion videos that you can watch anytime you want, and everything is meaningless. And I think the same thing has happened with film, unfortunately, and quality TV. There's so much of it, and no way of knowing what's number one, because nobody gives records out. They just released, and everyone can binge it. And I guess that's the way it is now. And but is it as good as it was? Well, certainly from the filmmakers and the indie filmmakers, the one who's been really hurt badly. Can I pause this? Yeah. Hello, Colm speaking. How can I help you? Yeah.
The man has a we're lucky to get this podcast in today. Actually, the man has a screening for his latest feature film tonight. So he's got to take a few phone calls of late people that are making bookings to come in. They're doing the test screening, so I'll actually be attending that, which is probably some questions I'll actually ask him in a minute. Be asking him about that. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're actually sitting here in Fox Studios, Sydney. So I was actually here a little while ago with the missus when she had IMAX down here. They had IMAX just across the way here. So yeah, it's not new to me, but the Sydney cricket ground is right there. I might actually go and get a few shots while I'm here actually. What a beautiful stadium it is, and there's even like practice cricket wickets just out the back of me here. But yeah, Colm O'Murchu's all go at the moment. He's just actually offered me to run the film school out of Queensland that he runs. So it's like actually as a teacher. So it's like and apologies for the wind as well. I've also got a small sock on this microphone because I forgot the other one. It's at the hotel, but yeah, sound should still be alright. Yeah, he's offered me to actually come and teach his film school in Queensland, and obviously I get paid, but you know, it's actually quite an honour for him to feel like I'm at that level. Like it was only 8 or 9 years ago that I actually attended my first film school course with Colm, and that was the Sydney Weekend Producers Film School. And then after that I went on to do the online Australian film-based film school that he runs, and pardon me, and then we did the week course out of Gold Coast, Tweed Heads, and he was actually just telling me that the film, because we actually make a film in a week, I wrote that film, and he says he still shows that film to film students. Hopefully we can get a conversation sparked up about that again actually. He actually shows that to film school students that he has because the film actually turned out so well, and I wrote that. I was already studying screenwriting back then, so it's no surprise that it was good. But yeah, and then I went on to do like a 2-month film school with him. I actually ended up being his assistant, and yeah, so there's a history there, but it's been years since I've seen him. It's been really cool. We just caught up today for the first time in probably like 6 years or something. Yeah, he'll be back in a sec. And we're back with Colm O'Murchu. So where did we leave off?
DVDs.
Yeah, DVD technology.
Yeah, which you love. Yeah,
I do. Like I even like Blu-rays, like whatever. I still buy DVDs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, look, I think just before I got phone's absolutely off now. Just before we were getting there, it's just saying how I think it's definitely very much in decline, but it will still stay there, just like vinyl went overnight.
Just because of people like me.
I just think things have comebacks, and you know, people get a bit sick of just consuming stuff online, and they want the higher quality.
They want the ownership.
So, the ownership.
Yeah.
So I think that will. I mean, it's still there, as we know, in JB Hi-Fi, but it will come back stronger, I think, in the future at some point.
Yeah. My missus still buys CDs for the band she likes.
Oh yeah. There you go. Not
so,
vinyl.
I mean, that's so rare now. People actually buying CDs. Well, I think. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah. All right. Indie filmmaking. Let's get on to that. Tonight we have, what is your film called?
Tabernacle 101.
Tabernacle 101, and that is your How many?
It's a 98-minute supernatural film that we shot in-house, so with all of our own equipment, because the great thing about owning all of your own equipment is you don't have to hire it.
Yeah.
It's a nice big saving. It's part of the investment of a film when you own all it. So literally we had every bit of gear you could want for shooting a movie.
What'd you shoot it on?
So we shot it on the Red Dragon, I think it was,
Whoa.
6K.
You own
camera.
a Red Dragon?
No, it was Tim's camera.
Oh, right.
But virtually all the rest of the gear was in-house.
Yeah.
So we had cranes, we had tracks, we had Steadicams, we had HDMI lights, we had a whole gamut of lighting, electrics, the Video Village, obviously. Then we hired in sound recorders from Home and Away, who came in a lot of our shoots. He used to work in Home and Away. So he was really good quality sound, which is very, very important. I mean, even having said that, we probably still ADR'd, which is the process of replacing dialogue on a movie. We probably ADR'd 30% of the film. And this time I really got to enjoy ADR because it gives you a second chance sometimes to get lines better. You only ADR poor performance sometimes. If a performance has gone bad because somebody was on an off day, you got a second chance. Plus, if you're in an environment like next to a building site or down on the beach or anywhere where there's a lot of extraneous sound that is very corrosive to the actual dialogue track.
Do you think that works when the performance isn't quite there, but then they punch it out with good?
With good direction, yeah, because you go line by line.
Yeah, but so it looks like it's a better performance if the sound's a little bit better, even if they weren't performing that well on the day and the visuals are still the same.
Now there is a thing there, like there is one additive to that, which is it depends on the actor. If they're highly inexperienced and don't know how to do ADR, they can be quite self-conscious. Yeah. But when they are experienced and they're good at what we call a dialogue replacement, because you replace it one line at a time, you get this second opportunity to really micro-direct nearly the lines. And I know some purists of acting would say, yeah, but you're losing the truth of the moment. But no, you're not, because the performance is still there. You can see what the screen acting is not just dialogue, delivery, but it's also what you see in the eyes of the actors, particularly in the close-ups. So you get that performance. And me, I do a lot of takes. And the reason for that is I'm always trying to make it better each take by take. And then what I do when I'm editing is I do watch my rushes, I do watch all my stuff, and I key point the best bits of performance, because the only time, whatever rehearsal you got or whatever is happening, the only time that matters is the bits that you cut into your film, the little bits of clips, as we call them now, clips, all the jigsaw of clips, the wide shot, the close-ups, which tends to be the biggest percentage of the scene, is where the performance is. And a lot of people forget that, trying to do other stuff that probably works more in theater, where in theater it's so different, because in theater you don't have take two. It's a performance that lives in that moment.
If you fuck something up, you kind of just have to smooth it over, right?
Smooth it over, or you get a line given from the side. But it's a performance on the night, and it's an audience on the night, and it's a completely different type of thing, as opposed to screen acting. Oh, there we go, sound. ADR. I'll go back in that.
It'll be right for this.
Airplanes are the bane of the sound recordist.
You can hear them when they're like 3, 4, or 5 Ks away, though, if you're a sound guy.
Yes, you can.
They're just like, there's a plane coming, and then you're waiting like 10 minutes on sound.
Being around, we're in a place called the Entertainment Quarter in Fox Studios, right next to Fox Studios, where the Matrixes were shot. And we're right underneath a flight path near the Sydney airport, and it's a terrible place to shoot. Of course, in Fox Studios they have all the soundproof studios, so it doesn't matter. They're not going to hear a thing. But look, that's the thing about screen performance that I think is so important, is that you watch your Video Village and you give your actors everything to make that performance better, and you push them and they push themselves, and between the two of you, you're pushing as hard as you can There's no point sugarcoating it. The sugarcoat director, which I call them, the sugar. Oh, darling, you did so fantastic. If it's not good, actors get very tired of that sort of director very quickly. They want to be pushed. They want to be given feedback. They want to make their performance as good as possible. But then, I mean, it does come down to the director and the editor picking the best moments from all the shooting ratio. As we all know, we had this thing called shooting ratio, which is these days we all shoot like crazy. And you can, in the old days when I started on film stock, you probably had a shooting ratio of 10 to 1. These days, it can be up there at 30 to 1. That means you're shooting 30 times as much footage as you need for the scene.
Age, you've got that, you're not paying for film. Why not, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can just shoot like crazy. But the downside of that is you get to sit for hours watching the stuff, as you probably will tonight with this.
I love doing that, though.
If you love doing it, it's great. And
I like drinking whiskey while I do it, though.
Oh, good. I'm really glad to hear, because teaching filmmaking, a lot of students these days, they try to scroll clips because they don't want to work hard, and it is hard work to watch everything.
That's a lot of hard work.
You could have an hour and a quarter for a 3 minute scene, and you got to watch an hour and a quarter same old footage.
If you're a purist, that's ridiculous. It's stressful. It's time consuming, and it's for the love of it. And most of the time, you're gonna have to pay out of your own pocket for a lot of it until you get
financed. Yeah, once you get financed, and it is nice when you get financed. And I do think money makes a big difference. Like the film obviously we're showing tonight, Tabernacle 101. We spent 85k on it, which is nothing, micro budget. Anything under 100 is micro. And another film I did some years back, Dealing with Destiny, was $1 million. And it makes such a difference. Honestly, it is just so much more relaxed when you got money. People say it's more stressful. No, it's not. You got so many people doing things. You don't have to produce. You just turn up and you get paid a wage or a fee.
What happened with that? Did that end up getting released?
Yeah, that got released in general release around the country in the Greater Union cinemas.
Wasn't there a delay on that for a while, right?
No delay. No. That did get released. I don't know what happened with it internationally. I don't think much happened with it internationally. It was a shame. It was a film that deserved a lot more. There are reasons for that. I wasn't the producer, by the way. When I produce any film I do, I push it to the final. I don't hold back. I don't give up on it, because it's up to the producer to get it out there and get it sold.
Where can I find that? Mm-hmm. I really wanted to watch that after what you showed.
Yeah, it's on Ozflix and it's on iTunes for sale. So Ozflix is a site here in Australia which has. Oh, here we go, another plane.
Quite loud.
You're going to have an editing job tonight. I'll just wait for that plane to go. So, Ozflix, okay, I think it's gone now. Ozflix is a site here in Australia which has every good released Australian film, anything that's released in the cinema or on DVD, it's on Ozflix. So you can see it there, but I think it's a $3 rental. And the makeover, of course, which has been seen millions and squillions of times around the world. And
that's a good film.
iTunes. It was a good film. I really enjoyed the old makeover.
So it's still making money for you?
It was making money up to about a year ago. I haven't received much royalties or anything, but for a long time it was consistent quarterly income. Not much, you'd be getting $2 or $3 grand or something like that. But in the end, it didn't get quite there, but it nearly got its budget back, which is around $100 grand.
You shot it on that exact same camera that we're filming on right now, right?
Did I shoot it on that? No, even worse than that one.
Oh.
720p. Yeah, the one that we're shooting on now is an old Panasonic 101, which was lovely at the time, and it does shoot a nice image, but it's nothing compared to the Blackmagics today. So the camera we shot in 2007 and 8 and 9 was it was a JVC HD 720 progressive. And 720 lines, that's a joke. When you think we shot Tabernacle on 6,000 lines of resolution, 6K. you just got a much better image and a much more malleable image that you can grade. You couldn't grade the really 720.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that because a lot of people say that going from 4K to 6K is just like overkill. What do you think? Like, is 4K enough?
Of course it's enough.
But 6K is way better though. That much better? Or
I don't
is
think it
kinda...
makes that much difference,
No.
really. In the end, it's not about the resolution. It's about
performance,
the filmmaking, the shots, the editing, the sound, the music, it's the coloring. Look, on 4K, like in the Blackmagic, you can still shoot raw, 4K raw, and you can do amazing grading. And who the hell is noticing? In the end, like tonight, we're going over to the cinema, and it'll be projected onto a monster screen in 2K. Because that's what most of the projection systems are. They're 2K projection systems, and it will look great. So that's what people talk about, the overkill. But it makes no difference. You just compress down.
Yeah, but what happens 15 years from now when all screens are at least 4K, maybe 6K? Then old school films are already at that level, right?
They'll probably get upgraded to whatever projection system there is if they're showing it in cinemas.
So,
but I mean,
the old 2K films will probably show up as a little bit shittier than that, right? If they were to screen them in there.
You mean films shot on 2K?
Yeah, like in a 4K cinema.
Very few people shoot in 2K these days. I don't know too many. It's either HD or 4K.
If you were to
4.6 or
show a film from way back in the day, in one of those cinemas, they're like
like an old print that's been upgraded to a 2K version. Well, it still look good.
Yeah,
it still looks good. I mean, I look at it tonight, and you don't need to worry too much. It looks fantastic at 2K on the big screen. And you see, look, most people, as we were saying earlier, are consuming everything on platforms.
Yeah.
So at night, I'm a lazy person now. I put my phone out, my mobile phone, which is just the normal iPhone phone, and watch things and Stan and Netflix.
Yeah.
and really enjoy it. And I just
enjoying it.
Enjoy it. I don't know. It's just so nice and lazy, and I can go to sleep on it. Rather than, like, if I use my computer or laptop, it's just too bright late at night. But, I'm not saying that's a great way to watch films, but I've got into the habit of doing that now late at night, and it can look beautiful on a phone too.
Yeah.
I know a lot of other filmmakers would kill me for saying that, but people watching their work on the telephone. But it's the way of the world now. Everyone's
technology's the rise of technology is ridiculous. Right?
It is, and it has changed. I mean, there's good things and there's bad things. Sometimes people only look at the bad things. So the really good thing about now is, when I started to shoot a 20-minute film cost $100,000.
Yeah.
20-minute short, doing it micro budget. And because stock was, the first time I shot on film was about 1990. And I did shoot, to be honest, that's not true. I probably shot something in 1986 on film. It was the first thing I ever shot. I remember now. A music video with Ganga Jane. Oh, you're 2 years of age then.
32 years ago.
And I just arrived in Australia, and that was the first thing. Was at a film course. And then I shot a little exercise on what we call reversal, which is the positive of negative film.
Yeah.
And it's what newsreel guys did.
Yeah.
So you just had this one print, and you cut it and scratched it, and it looked pretty bad at the end. But it was the fun things you did at film courses or film schools. And then the first thing I really shot in 16mm was 1990.
Yeah.
And it was a film called Best Friends, and I think
I did that.
Film. Actually, that was 13 minutes. And I'm just trying to go back because I may have got my facts wrong. I think that cost around $15,000.
Wow.
Because film stock would be $100 a roll. And then what we did on that one, we telecine. We did a process called a telecine, which would be, so the roll would cost $150, 16mm. It wasn't even Super 16. And then you telecine it.
Yeah.
Or you process it, which is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
$100 a roll. And a roll lasted 11 minutes, just 11 minutes. And you had to be really precious at your film, but there was much more mystique and exciting. And then you telecine it, and that was like $200-300 an hour to do telecine.
Wow.
It's just so expensive. And then there was a process of going back to film at the other end, so you could enter festivals. And there was a mystique. Hardly anyone did it, because it was just, barriers were huge to getting into film. So if you made something, you got around a lot.
Yeah.
And there was a lot more of the star filmmakers back then than there is now, because every man, dog, cat, frog is out there making films. So
Now it's
like,
the opposite.
Everyone's
It's
got a camera.
oversaturated.
It's oversaturated, so everyone can do it. But the beautiful thing is that if you practice at your craft, there's very few people who are really good at it.
That's right. I feel like I'm just starting to get good now. That's how I feel about myself.
That's right. Yeah.
And I mean,
the
8
other
short films, 3
Yeah.
documentaries, 2 music videos, 1 feature film. I was very happy with the way my first feature film turned out. But I think it was, I'm not going to say a fluke. I think a lot of things went really well for me.
Yeah.
But now I'm really confident going into my second one.
So this would be probably great.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. And that is the beauty, is that the barriers are down, so the canvas is there for a lot more people. And so, as you know, you can buy a Blackmagic camera for $5 or $6 grand. That's a really good camera that shoots raw 4K. And you can buy all the other paraphernalia for next to nothing. You can have yourself, I don't know how much it cost you, but you could kit out for 10 to 15 grand.
My setup's about, it cost me a lot, but I got the Sony FS700 with the Odyssey sensor that outputs 4K, and then I've got a lot of lenses, a lot of sound equipment, a lot of lights. So it's,
it all adds up. And so, but I think if you buy smartly, these days you can kit up everything. I mean, that means having tracks and a little Steadicam and
I got a Steadicam,
all that sort of stuff. Yeah, how much did that cost you?
That's a funny story, actually. The guy that was selling it, his brother was overseas, and it belonged to his brother.
Yeah.
And I think that had a falling out, so I got lucky.
You bought it for...
Even what he wanted to sell it for, I think I was a little short. But in the, I saw he was smoking like a chimney, and in my prop box, which was in the truck, I had like a couple of pouches of cigarettes. So I offered him those, and he gave it to me, and plus the cash I had on me.
Really? So you got very lucky.
I got very lucky, and it's a decent enough Steadicam. And when I googled what it was worth, I was just like, oh wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, I've actually paid, for the most part, premium dollar for everything I've got, just brand new. Especially with lenses and cameras, I'm like, bugger it, it's like I don't want to have something that someone might have messed up a little bit,
Yeah, it's nice getting things new, isn't it? But there's so much. I mean, your follow focus systems these days are amazing, and you can get a really good one for around $700-800.
Wireless or?
Not wireless, no.
See, I've got
manual.
one.
Yeah, so you have to use your crew. Yeah,
I've got a manual one, and that works beautifully. But the cool thing is, my cinematographer on my next film, he's gone and bought himself a wireless one. And
how much did that cost him?
I didn't ask him.
Yeah,
it would have cost him a fair amount, though.
Fair amount, yeah, exactly. But look, for the keen filmmaker out there, I would not buy gear unless you're like yourself, shooting features. I would rent it. We always say it to people: rent if you're only shooting 2 short films a year, because that might be 8 days shooting max, 10 days shooting. What are you doing with the gear the rest of the year? Unless you're a good business person and know how to rent it out, it might be sitting dead up in your bedroom. So sometimes it's better to just rent it. But if you're intending to make low budget features, you got to buy.
Oh yeah,
I think. And then you have the gear there, but you will have to update it every few years, particularly the cameras. As time goes by. But I'm a great fan of Blackmagic. So for any of your audience out there, Blackmagic is a great company. They originally started in Melbourne, and now they're all around the world, and everybody worships them because they brought the price of incredible cameras down to nothing. Well, when I say nothing,
like
$5 or $6 grand.
Oh, 5 or 6, yeah.
For a good one, like not the pocket one, for a good, the one we use, the Ursa The Ursa 4.6 Pro, I think, is the one we use, and that would be probably around there. I haven't bought one in a couple of years. We're still using the same one, and that's a fantastic camera because of the raw nature, the beautiful raw files it gives you. And a lot of people, when they're inexperienced, they don't understand RAW because it looks grey and flat. But when you actually grade it, the colours come up incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They do, don't they?
Yeah, like when we're doing the courses, we have to show students that process at the beginning of the edit.
Yeah.
Or else they freak out. They think the thing's going to look like crap.
A lot of people freak out pretty easy though. Yeah, the cool thing is like I've been through a couple of grades now with RAW.
Yeah.
Oh man, isn't it just beautiful, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, you see how flat it is, and
so flat.
I wouldn't say.
And then it pops,
yeah,
like
and then
it
it
pops
just-
3D nearly. You know, it's just beautiful.
My first film, it's like the
Yeah.
color's amazing. We were fortunate enough to get a colorist who worked on like Wolverine and stuff.
Yeah.
He knew the lead actor.
Yeah.
Got him for like $1,000.
Amazing.
Do the-
Yeah. So you've been doing some very good indie tricks.
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh yes, sir.
Shall we get on to like obviously we could talk forever, but we're in the middle of Fox, the entertainment quarter in Fox, next to Fox Studios. It's getting very crowded with people drinking German beer. And we also have a screening soon. So maybe we get on to the sales of films and your
Yeah.
experiences there with that
Mine?
company. And I think a lot of people, look, the market has gone down a lot. There were days back in the 80s and 90s and even the early noughties possibly, where you could go to one of the markets with an okay film, not even with stars, and walk out with $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, if you got lucky.
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
Gone.
So now you're looking at 150, 200 grand with a no-star film. That means
If
no
you're
names.
lucky.
If you're lucky.
There's a lot of sharks out there now, though.
Yeah, yeah, there is. So what happens is you have these things called international sales agents that sometimes call themselves distributors. But basically what they do is they on-sell to the distributors in a territory. So here, for example, our distributors are, God, they're changing all the time. But oh gosh, Hopscotch used to be around, but they've, I think, amalgamated with Icon. The Village Roadshow, obviously, they're distributors, so they own the rights to this territory. Then you have these things called sales agents, High Octane. You got, can I take out High Octane? Just take out High Octane. They're actually good guys. I won't mention your one, but let's say you have a sales agent called Joe Blogs, sales agent. What they like to do these days, so they don't have to pay the filmmakers, they'll put down marketing charges of $60,000, $70,000.
Yeah.
And
Which
they
is what
say,
happened to me.
which is what happened to you. And then they'll say, we'll pay you 75% of all the money that comes in once we've
Which is
got
what
our marketing money
What
back.
they gave in the contract in the year.
Yeah, and then they'll sign you up for 15 years or 10 years or something ridiculous.
7 for me.
7 years in your case. Terrible contracts in this day and age. And they can then use creative accountancy
1
to
or
make
2
sure
years
it
is
never
better,
gets
right?
above 65,000 in marketing in return, and you've no way of knowing because they could have siphoned off that money somewhere else, or it could have been sold in a package, and so you're endlessly paying back. And now I've spoken to lots of filmmakers this has happened to. You've been another one. I was over in the Hong Kong film market last week, and it happened several. Now I'm only saying this because there's a lot of people out there who are desperate to sell their film, and they'll take the first offer, or a company that looks glamorous, they'll take them up on this sort of crappy offer. So if the marketing fees are above 10 grand, don't go with them. 10 grand max, and you have a shot of making some money. Even better, there's companies like Indie Rights where they just take a flat 25%. They never charge you for marketing. And so the first dollar back in, you're getting 75 cents of every
Who was
dollar.
that again?
Indie Film Rights.
Indie film.
Yeah, so it's a company that I heard great things about. I haven't gone with them, but I'm thinking about it with this one. They've already offered us contracts. but I worry about that getting out into the public
What
domain.
about
in
minimum
case-
guarantees? They're disappearing
So-
too, right?
Sorry?
Minimum guarantees are disappearing.
Unless you've got stars in your film, and then you do have a lot more bargaining. And, a star is a real star. You can't have a
B level.
some name that was in a sitcom 20 years ago that nobody knows about today, and say, oh, he was famous back then, or she was famous back then. Now that's not a star. A star is, so if I said to you, Nicolas Cage,
Yeah.
I think everyone in the world is going to know who Nicolas Cage is. So
Yeah.
he will sell a film,
Yeah.
even though he's kind of damaged his brand
Yeah.
a bit over the years. But you need somebody's name that's going to resonate. And people say, oh, I'd like to see that film.
Yeah.
And then the Netflix sale. I've got a very interesting podcast on my podcast with a guy called Jason Brubaker from Distributor over in Los Angeles. And his claim is don't ever go with a sales agent. Yeah, because if your film's any good, you can get it straight up onto the platforms
Yeah.
and start making your money. That's what he claims. But there's one issue that always comes down here.
Yeah.
It's the marketing.
Yeah.
The money is in the marketing. And if I'm talking about real marketing, I'm not talking about fake marketing that these people do with the 60 grand. That's fake marketing.
Yeah.
That's just them going to expensive markets and staying in 5-star hotels. I'm talking about genuine, real marketing where your film is seen online and is advertised. What we call advertising. If there's some really good marketing, your film can get seen,
Yeah.
and then it will get a return.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. I mean, anyone can get on platforms,
Yeah.
but then you got to have a marketing budget.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to pay for the ads, or there's got to be an email list, or there's got to be some way of getting out to people, making it go viral, so people actually get to see the film. But the market is so changed. In the old days, it was a territory sale, still around. You can get 12 grand for Germany, or
Yeah.
I've got all the rights at home.
Yeah.
And somebody buys the rights for Germany, and you're not allowed to do anything else in Germany. There's still a bit of that around, but that's beginning to dissolve more
Yeah.
and more all the time. Yeah.
So it is moving in the good direction, but the oversaturated market and the more
It's a lot less
sharks
money now.
and more sharks swimming around too.
Pretty much everyone's trying to survive. So, they're not making. The sales agents, they were making fortunes 10, 15 years ago. Everyone was happy, so they're a bit unhappy now.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's why, like, not naming names, but the people I went with, as Colm has alluded to,
so common. That's about 70%.
common in
of
their
the time.
sales agents posing as distributors, really, right?
Yeah,
And they're just bullshitting people,
yeah.
which is what happened to me. But luckily with me, they're in so much breach of contract, I can easily get my film back, and I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm not
no,
going to
go
name
from there.
names on here.
No,
But,
I don't. And if I've got any
otherwise-
names named there, can you take them out?
Yeah.
Because I don't
for
want,
bad
I don't want
things, you mean?
somebody. Yeah. Or,
The
unless
ones
I
you
mention
praised
you-
are all right, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I can do rights, it's fine.
Yeah. So
But that's what's happened to you, and I think it's a cautionary
learning curve.
tale.
happened
So-
to you too with the makeover.
Yes,
right?
it happened to me with the makeover. I won't mention the company, but you can see the company there to start. But the same thing, the marketing, I kept hearing about the film being in all these places over in the States, and they kept saying the marketing costs haven't been paid back. Same
But at
thing.
least you got quarterly updates. I haven't even received that, which is contractually what they need to do.
Yeah.
It's just they're that cowboyish or retarded. I don't know.
Yeah, it's very unfair, and there's no way of being able to substantiate those returns. Like, they can make anything up.
Yeah.
You've no way of checking on it unless you do an audit, and that costs a lot of money to do
Yeah,
an
it
audit.
does.
Yeah.
But I'll tell
And
you
they
what,
can hide money off inside accounts, and
in the long run, I feel like I'm
Yeah.
going to have a lot of money, so they better watch out. I think these people. The pen is mightier than the sword.
Yeah, so look, there is good deals out there, but nothing like they used to be.
And what number is this for you, feature film wise?
This is number 3, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, number 3. Yeah, Makeover, Dealing with Destiny, and in terms of feature films, but in the courses we've had hundreds of short films go through the courses, and I worked on so many other things as well in an advisory role. But a feature's a big commitment, and when I do make them, I like to make them very well, and it is tough raising money. I could go through the amount of times we tried to raise money, and got halfway there, for millions of dollars, and something gets in the way of it happening. So it is tricky. So sometimes you just got to go out and make it, and that's what we did with Tabernacle. It's 98 minutes of supernatural drama and not drama, thriller. And it's a really spooky, eerie little film.
I'm looking forward to seeing it tonight, actually.
Yeah.
And I will give you my honest opinion too, which I'm sure it's going to be good though.
Yeah.
I really
we're
love
doing
the makeover.
a test screening, so
I really love the makeover. Yeah, so that's the thing with test screenings too. You could go back to the edit room, right? Based on that too, right?
Well, we're asking people to be punters tonight, and they're going to have anonymous forms to fill out. So they'll fill out the form and tell us what they think of the film, and that's where you can be honest. But we don't want people to be brutally honest critics. We just want them to be punters going out to a movie on Friday, Saturday night in the cinema. What do they say in the coffee shop afterwards? Because that's what we need, because that's who sees the film, the punter. Not the critics, not other filmmakers. It's the audience, it's the eyeballs. That's what we always want. That's what we're always after.
And random people too.
Yeah.
Because that's who goes and sees film.
Yeah. Because I always believe in, we've set an eyeball target. So, what you're trying to do is maximize return on investment. So watch your contracts. Be very careful with who you get involved with, because you want to maximize your return on investment for your film. You want to maximize the eyeballs. That's the amount of people who see it. And, as a filmmaker, you want tens of millions of people to see your film. And that's what gives you the buzz. And you want to maximize the kudos or the fringe benefits or all the things that advance your career. I think they're the magic three. And so whenever you're doing something, set goals for it, because that's what you want to do. To maximize those three areas.
What do you think the plan is for Tabernacle 101?
Right now, I can't talk about it because we've got so many contracts thrown at us. And some are very similar to what you got. And what I always say too, I just want to give this as a tip, because a lot of people don't do this. I don't know if you did this. Check with 3 filmmakers who've worked with that company before. You didn't do it. You see, if you check with 3 people who've already worked with them, like for example, if you get a call or an email of some filmmaker who says, I'm thinking of going with X company, we can't name, you're going to be brutally honest. You're going to tell them, run for the hills. So like with all the contracts, that's what we do. And it's funny what you find out. We check with at least 3, sometimes 5 filmmakers who've worked with these companies and say, what was your experience like? And if they're saying great things, like with High Octane, that's a really, really good company to go with. So that's how you find out. Otherwise, you're lambs to the slaughter, like you were, unfortunately.
Like I was.
But you won't be on your second one.
No, sir. You were too with the makeover, right?
I'm sorry to be vague about it, but we can't talk about all the stuff that's coming through.
You had the same experience of makeover, right? The makeover.
Well, I learned there, and that's why I checked with 3.
So it's like such a common thing.
Oh, the newbies are. I don't know whether I should say this, but Dov Simmons, who used to teach the 2-day film course over in America, used to say, when you're dealing with distributors or sales agents, get your can of Vaseline ready and take it if it's the first time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm glad for the lesson, but these people will be hearing from my lawyers. You can believe that.
And you'll hope to get your film back. You will get your film back, because in the end, do you know what they do? I just want to make people clear on what happens. They get 50 of these films a year and they splat them against the wall and see which ones do well.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. They just care about themselves.
They act like they do.
Oh, in the initial phase, but for those sort of companies. Then you have the company like Indie Film Rights that cares about the indie filmmaker. You just got to figure out who they are. I'm giving them a huge plug today, so I'll probably be getting loads of people going out to them now. But there are other companies, so don't just look at indie.
This is good for the filmmaker, so I hope you're listening. Anyway, I think we should wrap it up there, right?
Get on to the next part of the evening. It's been great, and I'm happy to do stuff over the phone if you need any additives.
Yes.
There was a lot of distractions tonight, unfortunately. But I hope people learned a little bit there about the sales side of things.
Well, I feel like I want to do a lot of podcasts with you over time. So even
absolutely.
remotely, that's what I feel like I want to do.
Learn how to do the Skype ones. It's just as good. and you can get amazing. Probably better sound now than we have all the background.
Yeah.
And the wind.
Indeed, but it was a pleasure, Colm. Thank you
thanks
so
so
much,
much.
bro, and I really appreciate you. And
Yeah.
awesome, signing off.
Look forward to seeing it.